Back at you with another one. Now, this is a really good one. This is an interesting one here. And we got the outer box so you could see what it is. This is the Super 7 Toho Ultimates Blazing Godzilla. 1200 degrees, clear orange. Hell yeah, man. So I like that they have the outer protective box, but let's get that open and see what we're cooking with. Okay, and we got the outer protective plastic bag that comes on these Super 7s just to show you the packaging, but let's take it off. Okay, wow, is this an eye grabber right here? So, what a nice box too, gold and red colors and flames all around it. Very, very cool. Take a look at that figure, man. Awesome stuff going on. Once again, this is the Super 7 Toho Ultimates Blazing Godzilla, 1995. Of course, this is from Godzilla vs. Destroyer, where we had Burning Godzilla, but this is Blazing Godzilla, 1200 degrees. And you can see what the side of the box looks like. You have a nice window here where you can see the Goji's head. Same thing, Godzilla vs. Destroyer on the side. And on the back, we have a nice picture here of, basically from the movie Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Looks really nice here, sitting in this, emblem of flames, basically. You know what I mean? And, wow, what a cool looking box. Let's see if there's anything on the bottom. No, it's just the same pattern. Okay, man. Super 7, baby. This is definitely interesting here. So let's get them out of the box and take a look. Okay, so now before we take them out, we're just going to show you the full clamshell here to show you the packaging. And you're going to get some accessories with this here. Looks like you're going to get 4 extra hands and an extra open mouth head. So you're going to get a closed mouth and an open mouth head. There's the Goji himself right there, and that's a nice packaging with some nice accessories. So let's open them up, get them out of there. All right, here we go, baby. This looks awesome, man. Wow, this figure just really jumps out. I forgot I even bought this. I bought so many figures recently. I still have so many stockpiled to do reviews of that. I pulled out a box and I saw this guy and I completely forgot that I purchased him. Shout out to my boy Rich for this one once again. But very cool that we're getting, some accessories here. You're going to get 4 extra hands and an extra head. And that's nice. You're going to get an open mouth and a closed mouth head. So, yeah, and basically this whole figure is translucent, so we're going to be shining light upon the, show you what that does eventually. But, let's talk a little bit about Burning Godzilla. This is from Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Godzilla was overheating in the movie. This right here is Blazing Godzilla. So I guess, in theory, it's Blazing Godzilla 1200 degrees Celsius. So this is like Godzilla right before meltdown, basically. And, I think what makes this figure interesting is we could basically just use our imagination and think about, well, what if he could contain it and remain in this form the same way, although it took Mothra's help, but kind of the same way he was able to control it in King of the Monsters, or even to a greater extent how he was able to, control all of that energy from Tiamat and evolve in GXK. You know what I mean? Or how he actually gave off that blue pulse. So he was able to control it like that. You know what I mean? So I always find that fascinating about, the 2 times he was able to control it, not kill himself. Because we had already seen this. This is from 1995 here, Godzilla vs. Destroyer. You know what I mean? So we saw Godzilla melt down. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, the Super 7 Meltdown is definitely on the menu for me. I'm going to get that figure. You know, it's like the next stage after this one, basically. Even though I guess that was released first. I'm not sure. But, yeah. So, looks cool. So, like, what if he could contain it? You know what I mean? And use it the same way he let off that nuclear pulse. You know, when the drones were all around him in France when he was feeding on the radiation. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's what this figure does for me. It opens up possibilities in my mind about what could be. But technically, this is Blazing Godzilla. Just about, we're right at 1200 degrees before the meltdown. Cool concept for a figure. So, yeah, let's pose this sucker and see what he could do. By the way, you're going to get the extra set of hands are going to be 2 closed fists and another set of claws. So, but yeah, let's pose this guy. Okay, that looks pretty awesome. Get him into a little bit of an action pose right here. So first off, this tail is not very bendable or posable. It droops, man, you know. It's got side-to-side movement, but not in a bending fashion. It just kind of slinks one way to the other, one side to the other. It's like a slinky, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not going to hold the pose very well. So just note that. It's still a very nice, impressive tail, and it does do some cool things, but it just doesn't, it's not the greatest at holding the pose. But to me, this paint job is so cool, man. I love it. I love the bright yellow on the chest that's meshing with the orange. And I really love the way the dorsal plates are done, where it's like almost an orange red right there in the center of them. That looks nice. It's a nice contrast. I really like the teeth here, these fangs. I like the yellow eyes. I like the facial sculpt of this. Yeah, so I really like Super 7. Super 7 grew on me fast. I recently started collecting it, and it impressed me so much that, you know, I just want more and more Super 7s. Like, it's right alongside Higher and SH Monster Arts for me. That's how it became, you know. And you're going to get some nice detail here on this head sculpt, especially on the top of the head right there. That's beautiful. Teeth are good. Eyes are good. And it's just a fantastic paint job all throughout, really. It's cool. You know, the joints that bend here, they're a little bit stiff sometimes. So when you're bending it at the elbows or at the knee, you might have to bend, you know, give it a bit of a push. The legs don't move out that wide, but they do move back and bend at the knee. And the feet also bend. Yeah, so, you know, you're obviously not talking about SH Monster Arts or higher articulation, although I do like the articulation of Super 7s because they make for some very impressive poses. Like, that's cool, man. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing any gappages on this figure. The only thing that I would say would be a flaw is the tail is just, you know, it's not as posable as you would want it to be, and it's a little on the loose side. But that's okay. I'm going to show you what it does, though. I'm going to show you how it gets. It actually, you can make some nice poses with it, but just not in the way that you guys might think, you know. But I love the paint. I love that bright yellow on the front. I love how it's translucent. This is a cool figure. Blazing Godzilla. Okay, let's continue posing. I mean, obviously, you can see the turn of the head right here, too. I want to show you that. Let's keep posing him. Okay, that's very nice as well. You're going to get some nice turn at the hips here. You're going to get some rock, beautiful up and down rock on the head. That's nice. You can make them look down with it, which I really, really like that. And this is the way you could do the tail. You kind of turn it to the side, and pose it to get it like that. You know what I mean? So it's like the tail is like it's moving like that rather than up here and holding. So you turn it to the side when you want to put it into like a curve like that. You know what I mean? So, but that's an awesome pose. Looks really good. Okay, so now this is about as high up as you're going to get him, which is not very much. You can't really get the head to look too much into the sky. That's about as high as he goes. And this tail, man, you want it to do that and hold it, but it's just not. And that's a downer. You know what I mean? That's a negative about the figure. I'm not gonna lie, because the tail looks so nice. It's really cool. I don't know. Maybe put some wood shine on those ball joints. Each one of those ball joints. I don't know. I don't know what, if anything, would help that, but that's what we're working with the tail. You know, it's a limp dick. You know what I mean? But you know, it is what it is, man. Like I said in the last video, every figure has flaws. That's one impressive looking tail, obviously, and it's translucent. And when you curve it to the side, it looks nice, but you can't really pose it, you know. So just note that anyway. You know, I still like the figure very much, regardless of that limp dick tail, but it is what it is, man. Okay, I swapped out the hands, the claws that it came with for the closed fists, and wow, do they look nice. Look at that. That's like a fully clenched fist. He's looking to knock you out, Godzilla. You know what I mean? That really looks very nice on the figure, and it makes it look tough. Hell yeah. Awesome. By the way, the open mouth head is really nice. Once again, you know, eyes and teeth the teeth are surprisingly very well done here too. They look pretty damn good. And the tongue is a nice peach color. Wow. You know, Super 7 really does a decent job with their figures. I like them. They're impressive. And they're a big size too. This is like a 9-incher. You know what I mean? So it's really cool to have this. Gonna be very cool to put this guy on the shelf. Look at that with the closed fist. Awesome, man. Okay, yeah, so the tail definitely just redeemed itself for this really nice tail off the ground pose. You know, still can't pose it that well, but in this particular tail off the ground, lurching forward, looking like he's ready to run into you with his both fists cocked. The tail up in the air like that and staying like that looks really nice. And this figure has very good balance for a tail off the ground pose like that. It was super easy to get it into it. And that looks very, very nice. Awesome. Here's another badass tail off the ground pose, which this figure has to have a lot of balance to be able to do. And that looks awesome, man. So nice. And hey, overcoming flaws. What did I say about that? What did I say about overcoming flaws? Look at that. That actually looks nice. Look at the curvature in that tail. So this tail could do things when you have it in a tail off the ground pose that make it look cooler. That just looks phenomenal, man. Godzilla picking his head up with his fist clenched, tail in the air. Awesome, man. Really, really very nice. By the way, like any pose looks really good in front of this beautiful box. I love the way the back of that box looks. Looks really, really nice. It makes the figure pop posing it in front of it. Okay, so now once again with the help of the tail, we're going to achieve a very nice foot stomping pose where the bend at the knee is giving you that appearance of a stomp, which looks cool. So yeah, right there. Cool foot stomping pose. All right, sorry, I had to swap had the fists on the wrong hands for the last couple shots. Oopsies, my bad. Fix that. But yeah, this is about as wide as the arms go here, which is pretty good. And the legs. The legs really don't bend that wide, but the feet swivel, so the feet you could actually get wide to kind of make up for that. But yeah, that's how. Yeah, you're almost getting a full spread on the arms. Pretty wide. Looks good. Okay, so now I wanted to get him into like, pretty much what I would consider the Heisei pose, which is his head kind of slightly tilted down and both hands in front of him, kind of like the Hokkaido landing pose, basically. That's Heisei Godzilla. You know what I mean? So, yeah, walking like that, head slightly tilted down with both arms right in front of him. That's the pose that Heisei Godzilla is known for. Looks pretty cool. Okay, and here we have a nice crawling on all fours pose that you can do. The head doesn't, go forward, so you can't have him looking straight ahead, but you could turn it to the side and still have, with the arm articulation really leading the way, a nice crawling on all fours pose. You can't do a swimming pose. The tail doesn't go straight and the head doesn't go straight enough to be able to achieve that. So figure can't do a swimming pose, but you get a very nice crawling on all fours pose. That looks good. Okay, so now we're going to get to the comparison part of the video. And this guy here, which is the Playmates Burning Godzilla, was my first Burning Godzilla, is the only other, Heisei Burning Godzilla that I own. So it's these two now, you know what I mean? And this right here was a nice little Playmates figure. It's not terrible. It's not the greatest ever. But it was my first Playmates figure and my first Burning 95, Heisei Burning Godzilla. So, and, I'm happy to have both of them. I think this looks really nice. And this figure's great, So, there we go. And you can see, fairly similar, in terms of how the face looks and the way the dorsal plates are and the thick legs, unmistakably Heisei Godzilla. Okay, so now I'm going to compare it with the two higher Burning Godzillas that I own, and it's interesting, because with the help of Mothra, this version of the Burning Godzilla was able to contain the energy and not melt down and die like this one ultimately did. You know what I mean? So, which, as I said earlier, it's the most interesting part about owning this figure, because we could just imagine that he was able to sustain it right there instead of melting down and being able to, release a nuclear pulse to get rid of it like this guy did. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. These were probably 1200 degrees as well. And they were able to sustain it, So, pretty cool. And for a final comparison, here we have it with the Burning Godzilla that yours truly painted. Now, this one was basically energized Godzilla. And I turned him into my own version of Burning Godzilla. So, pretty cool, Yeah, you know what I'm saying? What would have been really cool is if kind of like what happened in Godzilla King of the Monsters is what happened in Godzilla vs. Destroyer. And Godzilla wound up not dying. But I guess they couldn't do that with Godzilla Jr. written into the story. Obviously, because, that was probably the plan all along for Godzilla Jr. to just take over. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, it's a cool possibility. It's something to think about. Burning Godzilla, baby. All right, folks. First, I'm going to show it to you with just a lamp on it. Pretty cool. You can see the translucent. All right, let's put a flashlight on it. Okay, so you could see here. Nice. That's pretty dope. I like this figure so much, I'm actually blazing while I'm reviewing Blazing Godzilla. Anyway, highly recommend it. Like my goddamn video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back at you with some more shit. Peace.